have a work colleague who has established a practice at the end of each year of setting the intention for the coming year using one single word. He's been doing this ever since I've known him. Somewhere around Christmas or so, he'll send an email to his staff, and in the subject line, he writes, WOTY, Word of the Year. This email has become highly anticipated by everyone who receives it. In the text of the email, the first thing he does, of course, is to reveal his chosen word. And then he goes on to describe his hopes for his team and the work that they will do together in the coming year. Fortunately for me, I have been the recipient of his emails as well. And I have to say, I've been really inspired by the thought that he's put into this and how he chooses to describe the work that they share and all that he hopes will happen in the year to come. In case you're curious, his word for 2024 is focus. Until this year, I never really gave much thought to choosing a word myself, choosing my own word as a guide for my life or my work. That is until this year. Without going into a lot of detail, I'll share with you that 2023 was a particularly challenging year for our family. We experienced tragic loss, illness, heartbreak, worry. Honestly, it seemed unrelenting. It was one thing after the other. I found myself about mid-year just longing to see 2023 in the rearview mirror. And I felt like Job in today's first reading, where the nights just were endless with restlessness and sleeplessness, and hope was really elusive sometimes. Now, I know this kind of suffering and struggle isn't unique to me or to our family. All of us have experienced worry and heartbreak in one way or another. Even as I'm talking about my own, I know that you're reminded of your own struggle. So considering everything, what would my chosen word be for 2024? I played around with peace and strength and perseverance and even hope. All really strong, solid words, but they didn't feel quite right. And then the word healing came to my mind, and I thought, that's it. So for the past month or so, I have been reflecting and thinking about how might I be a greater healing presence in the world. And if I find myself in despair in 2024, how might I open myself to receive healing that is offered to me? The responsorial psalm for today: God heals the brokenhearted. God heals the brokenhearted. So perhaps the gospel reading from today gives us some insight into the very nature of what healing is all about. I love the interaction between Jesus and Simon's mother-in-law. Picture it in your mind. Jesus enters Simon's house and is told about his mother-in-law's illness. And so I'm imagining that Jesus is moved with compassion, and he goes to where Simon's mother-in-law is laying, and he reaches out and he touches her hand. And she doesn't pull away. As a matter of fact, she grasps his hand tight enough, and he hers, that he is able to lift her up. And in that very lifting, her fever leaves. She is restored, healed. So in this very simple and yet profound human interaction, we learn about the nature of healing. First of all, can we allow ourselves to see where there is brokenness, where there is illness, where there is heartbreak. And from that place, be moved to compassion in such a way that we can't help ourselves but to reach out and to touch. And with our own strength and the strength that's in the other, lift up. What we see in Simon's mother-in-law is once she is lifted up from whatever it was that kept her down, she was able to find her place in her family and to serve, to minister. Every one of us is in need of healing in our own lives. We know what that might be for ourselves. And our world is also broken and in need of healing. So what we learn from this particular gospel on the 5th Sunday in Ordinary Time, can we take that into our own lives and into the world? Being able to see where healing is needed. Being moved to compassion, so much so that we reach out and in whatever way we can, grasp what needs to be grasped and bring it back to healing and wholeness. And when we find ourselves broken in some way, can we allow our hearts to be open to see the hand that reaches for us and to grasp it and to allow ourselves to be lifted up? I'd like to close with some very powerful words that were shared between the Dalai Lama and Archbishop Desmond Tutu in the book entitled The Book of Joy. They say, discovering wholeness, healing, and joy do not save us from the inevitability of hardship and heartbreak. In fact, we may cry more easily, but we will laugh more easily too. Perhaps we are just more alive. Yet as we are healed and discover more joy, we can face suffering in a way that ennobles rather than embitters. We have hardship without becoming hard. We have heartbreak without being broken. I just pray that 2024 can be a year of healing, certainly for each one of us, but for our entire world as well.